So, I try to get better lighting. Can you tell? I hope so. Uh, eh, eh, eh. Let's go with that one. So, let's talk about body dysmorphia real quick and what my experience is with it and what my history is with it and how I manage it in my life. I don't know what I look like. I actually don't know what I look like. I'm not sure. When I look in the mirror, it looks totally different than what I see on my phone screen right now. I'm filming this with my phone. And I look different in pictures. And when other people take pictures of me and then I see it, I look totally different. I don't know what I look like. Because I don't know what I look like, and because I've went through such a huge weight loss journey, and I would argue that throughout that journey, that took, 30 years, there was a lot of crash dieting. So there was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of gaining of 100 pounds and losing 75 pounds and gaining 50 pounds and losing 45 pounds. And my weight was doing this. So my clothing was always doing this. I had fat clothes and I had skinny clothes, and I would switch back and forth between which clothes I was wearing and when. So as a result, I don't actually quite know exactly what I look like. And then even in the midst of all of that, what you see when you go through my social media and some of the pictures that I take, that I've posted where it looks like I have great abs, I'm literally picking the best lighting and the best shadows, and I'm at the best part of my workout when I have the biggest muscle pump and my muscles are full of carbs, and I'm like I've taken some of those pictures in the best way that I can. So even those are not actually real and indicative of what I actually look like. So there's that. On top of that, when you lose 100 plus pounds, for me, I have loose skin. That loose skin also warps the way that I look. So, sort of an example of that would be, so like on my bicep, I have this like vein on my arm. And so I often hear when I'm in the gym, man, look how lean you are, look how cut you are, look how vascular you are. And I'm like, thank you, I appreciate that, but you're not seeing what's going on under my shirt. And there's a lot of loose skin there, which I will show you in a little bit. I promise. But as a result, I don't know what I look like. Because I don't know what I look like, it creates very weird dynamics in my life, where some days I feel like I look better than other days, even though to 90% of the people I look the same. One thing that I've used, a tool that I've used in my life to be able to get sort of an objective measurement of my appearance, because it's hard for my brain to sort of process what my appearance looks like, is to use a scale. So stepping on the scale, I get a number, blah, the scale doesn't care what I look like, the scale doesn't care about any of that stuff, it just gives me a number. Here's your number. And I've used that number to feel fulfillment and accomplishment, okay? Which means if I step on a scale and it's 1 pound less than it was before, I lost a pound, I did something, I'm moving in the right direction. Which, confounds with having an eating disorder and not being able to know what healthy looks like per se. I have a pretty great idea what healthy looks like now. And my relationship with the scale is great. But the scale is a tool, not a person. So relationship is a very generic term. But within the past 3 years, so I've initially lost 100, I lost 120 pounds. I would argue 126 pounds. I went from 316 pounds to 191 pounds. That's 125 pounds lost. I have gone up in weight from 191 pounds to what I weigh right now, which is closer to 212 pounds, which is a 20 plus pound weight gain. Because of how muscles work, I have a lot more muscle than I did when I was 190 pounds. I have better abs now than I did then, depending on what time of day it is. And the time of day makes a huge difference in what I look like. So all of this information is very confusing, and there's a lot of things going on that I'm sort of trying to keep track of loosely, but not really keeping track of. But it's just part of how I manage my stress and my anxiety. It's how I manage depression. It's how I cope. I do that instead of drink alcohol or smoke weed or whatever in order for me to manage my life. That's what I do. I focus on health. I focus on fitness. I focus on getting stronger, having better cardio, being at a healthy body weight. I do that. And in my life, it has become, I wouldn't say it has become necessarily an all-consuming thing, but I've definitely built a life around my body at the core of everything in order to manage my weight and my stress and my anxiety, etc., etc., etc. Which is not necessarily in and of itself bad, because I would argue that there's a large percent of people that build their life around alcohol. They literally live for the weekend. Everything that they do is to be able to afford to live comfortably enough to go and party on the weekend. So my thing happens to be health and fitness, and for a lot of people it's alcohol. For a lot of people it's marijuana. For a lot of people it's cigarettes. For a lot of people it's relationships and dating and sex or whatever. For a lot of people it's religion. Not even so much a relationship with Jesus itself, but the idea of, am I doing the right thing? Is this a sin? Is this not a sin? Does God love me? Like, we all have sort of coping mechanisms that we do to manage and deal. For some people, it's adrenaline. They're not okay unless they're jumping out of a plane or risking their life. Or, you know, for some people, it's travel. Like, they want to see the world. One day I will afford that. But for me, it is this. And that is because the way I used to manage my body was through depression. I was in a bed by myself for 20 years because I lacked some social skills, and I would eat my life away, and I would just watch YouTube and watch TV and watch 10 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, you know, back to back, just watch, and just be sad. And now I found a way to not be sad. And I would also argue that the gym is community for me. So I found a place to be extroverted and to have community and friends and people. So it's a huge part of my life. Now my fitness is a solo game, but it's still important to me. And I want to be active for a long time. I want to be healthy and strong and youthful for a very, very long time. I don't want retirement to be the point in which my body breaks down. I want retirement to be what happens when I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor, where I've been managing my money well and managing my body well. But body dysmorphia for me is a very real thing. And it does trigger me. Right now, I have pretty intense tan lines because I've been running. And I'm going to show you this in a second. But right now, my biggest question that I'm managing right now is, should I run shirtless? Not because I think I look bad shirtless. I'm totally down to be shirtless. If we go into the beach, I'm going to take my shirt off. Love to do that. Sounds great. But because of my loose skin, when I run, things are moving a lot. And my concern is, to be real is, well, that's a bit humiliating that I have all this muscle and I look good, but there's also a bunch of stuff that is jiggling all over the place. And I'm sort of dealing with whether or not that's something I want to do. But all that to say, I want to give you an example of what I mean when I talk about my loose skin. So I'm going to pick you up. And I'm going to bring you over here. And I'm going to put you, let's put you closer to here, shall we? Hey, there you are. Hey, what's going on? Hey, hi. No, that's not going to work. Hi, welcome to the bathroom. This is me with my shirt off. This is my normal. This is what I walk around in. This is what I look like all the time. This is normal for me right now. That being said, what I see in this mirror and what I'm seeing on the camera screen looks very different. But that's not the point. This is what I just look like. I'm relaxed. I'm not flexing. I'm not doing anything. When I want to take a picture on Instagram, I twist my hips. I do that, and I suck it in. And now I have a V-taper, and then I take my picture. Or I do this, and then I take my picture. That's different than this. To me, that looks like very, very different. That being said, I have loose skin. So my nipples, for example, are down here when they should be up here. Or anyways. And that's all loose skin. This is all loose skin in here. All of this is loose skin in here. All of this is loose skin in here. See that? That's all loose. If I bend over, let's do it this way. That's all loose skin. It comes behind me. This is all loose skin back in here. That's very loose. If I run, all this moves a lot, right? If that makes sense. You'll also be able to see my loose skin if I suck my gut in. All that is from the weight loss. That is a normal that I manage. That nobody actually sees. I don't go around with this. So for me, the idea of running outside, and I don't mind being shirtless. I don't mind being shirtless at all. I have no problem taking my shirt off at Whiskey Town or at the beach or at the lake or in a pool party or in a hot tub or whatever. I have no problem with this. I love this. This is great. This is the culmination of a lot of hard work for me. However, the idea of running with all this means that I'm going to be seeing a lot of this. And people that I don't know, that I'm not inviting into my process, are also going to be seeing that. And that, for me, causes a hell of a lot of anxiety because I'm not wanting that at some level. And at the same time, I totally want to do that because, maybe you can see my face. Haha. Ooh, crooked. There you go. Because it is a badge. It is a victory badge. It is honor for me to know that, hey, I did this. I have loose skin because I did this extremely difficult thing that took me years to accomplish. And I think I look great. I do. But there's such a contrast. I think the reality of what body dysmorphia looks like for me is not that I suck and I'm ugly and I'm gross, but the conflict between I think I look great and at the same time, but I don't like the way this looks here. Like that back and forth, it messes with your brain a bit. It does mess with your head and you don't exactly know how to properly position yourself. And as a result, you wind up with hardcore tan lines like that. Look at that. Yeah, that's great stuff. I just wanted to share my process. And I have one last thing to show you. I want to do a push-up. All that dangles like that under there. And that is tough. I'll give you this angle. That is hard for me. That's not really something that I dig. That's really tough. But it is part of my life. That loose skin in there, that dangles. That's the reality of my weight loss. That's the reality of my body. So to wrap it all up, a lot of us are struggling with this. For some of us, this looks like we've given up. For some of us, I live this. We just give up and we just eat whatever we want. And we say, well, take it or leave it. I'm fat and sexy. You're probably not wrong. And for some of us, we do the opposite and we micromanage every single calorie and it looks like forms of anorexia or bulimia or obsessive compulsive dieting disorder, right? I think what's super important to know is whatever this looks like, we have to find a healthy balance. We cannot allow obesity to ruin our lives, and we cannot allow fitness to not let us have a life. I just think it's important to have a balance. I wanted to share my story with you. Reach out to me. Tell me your thoughts and feelings. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for this.